distortion, blown out of proportion, invade deceit. The truth is obsolete. Only two positions, victimizer or victim. Both end up in destruction, trusting this crooked system. Mafia with diplomas, keeping us in a coma, trying to own a piece of the American corona. The revolving door, insanity every floor. Skyscraper, paper chasing, what are we working for?
That's testimony. But yeah, so we're talking about son of perdition. What's that? In the video, she said son of perdition. Nobody knows what that is? Nobody's ever heard the term?
What is the term again?
She said, when the son of perdition is commander-in-chief, the standard is thief. Brethren, can we candidly speak? Woe to the men, trusting in the chariots, them. All that she was rapping on hell. She said, the son of perdition is commander-in-chief. The Bible scholars, you know? Twice in the New Testament, Thessalonians and the Book of John. Basically means man doomed to destruction. That's what it means. Like not really identifying one person individually, but a man doomed to destruction is the son of perdition. So that's like, you know, she went harder than Kanye West on the telethon with that line, but I guess since, you know, you don't read, you can diss, you know, you can go with the president. When the son of perdition is commander-in-chief, the standard is thief. I mean, I was like, ooh, but then I said, oh, nobody got it. So I said, let's start there. Early hip-hop, a culture comprised of an array of art forms, or what they later described as elements. Born out of Black and Latino genius and poverty as an entertaining, anti-violence, political, nation-building inner-city expression. This is a drastically different description than you probably encountered before this class, and that's why I think it's so important. Because we have to debunk some common myths. There are some urban legends and some folklore about this art form that we will dispel today. It's just going to, you know, you just kind of end it and bury it, you know. Like Tupac said this way, once I hit you with words, you'll never see it that way again, you know. So we need to understand what's going on. What do we usually hear about early hip-hop? We talk about it in class before, right? It was all about the fun, right? Early hip-hop was all about the party, right? Okay. Speaking of parties, right? Talking about Black Panther Party. Let's look at this. This is from Bastard the Party. His brother basically was a gang member and wanted to figure out the roots of gang violence in Los Angeles. So we'll look at a couple clips about that. Take about 5 minutes. Need some sound out of
More than me, I learned about the migration to Los Angeles to find better jobs. And like I said, you know, to escape the prejudice and listen to what's going on in the South. I met up with the guys at the California Culture Center down on Vermont and I think Western, somewhere down there. And he started explaining to me about how their generation came to LA.
The majority of the blacks was coming from the South then, and after the war, the train was called the Argonaut. It was a train that stopped at every little town from Mississippi, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas. Before it got to Union Station, it was stopped by Central Avenue, and all the black people had to get off.
So people would ask questions like, you know, how did the ghetto get to be what it is, right? Like you just live in the suburbs one day, and your parents try to inspire you to do well, like, you know, think and grow rich, and somebody will take you down to a neighborhood less advantaged and say, man, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, you're going to end up out here, you know? You say, well, you know, why is it, you know, divided, you know, along color lines, and people never really put historical context to it. And the man said, at this stop, what happened? What's the last line he just said? All the black people had to get off. There goes your explanation. Whatever other explanation they give you, I would argue is not as definitive or substantial, significant of a reason why the hood is all black, with the exception of that instance and that rule. So music and high-waist pants and lack of mobility and laziness and even drugs, that's later, right? We can't, the cause has to precede the effect of time. If somebody says, why are all these black people here? You can't say crack cocaine from 85 if they were there in the 1950s, right? You can't say, you know, hip-hop until 1979 if they were here in 1940s, 1950s. You have to look at the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, 1950s. He said the Great Migration, right? Why did they leave? I say, if you don't understand white supremacy as a global system, everything else that you think you understand will only confuse you, right? Neely Fuller teaches that, and the reason why, I say, well, let's study these gangs. Let's study the gangs in LA. How'd they get there? How did these people even get there? Oh, the Great Migration. What were you running from? Racism in the South. The very reason we're here is because of racism. Or we would have been back in the South where we were before. But if you don't understand lynching and Jim Crow and comic relief, then you say, oh, you know, I don't know. Maybe it's like that polygenetic theory. People just pop up different places. You know, people just, you know, slavery's over. LA sounds good. No. Not at all. Not at all. Not circumstantial or not arbitrary whatsoever. Strictly based on codified circumstances, legal restraints, racialized terror. You know, this is why they're there. So you go as far as you can go, and the conductor says, last stop, every nigga get off the train, right? He might have said it just like that back in the days, and it probably wouldn't have been a big deal, right? So let's see. Let's get deep into this gang part. So the reason why we even have black people in LA in these numbers is because of the Great Migration, when people ran out of the South to escape racial terror.
That's what got my wheels spinning. What actually happened?
That's a map from 1972 from the police department. Remember, we did our chronology. We got to start with chronology. I think we ended off with 71. We did the Panther 21. So Panther 21 is locked up. You're looking at a map from 1972 with the police. It's a police map describing gang areas, right?
So I found my Davis, and then I kind of sat down with him and talked to him. And he kind of explained a lot of Los Angeles and the whole how it was set up.
You could argue in the late 40s and 50s, probably the most exciting, important thing happening musically was on Central Avenue, where rhythm and blues were born.
Central Avenue would and should have been a cultural landmark. A lot of action. Down Bar Hotel, Downbeat, The Last Word, Mimo. I got out here in 1942, and I've been going out there ever since. From 42 to 50, it was a jump.
Central Avenue paid for all the police vacations and retirements. Central Avenue Vice Squad was basically the money collectors for the LAPD, and they basically ran a protection and extortion.
What years are these? What years did you say?
42 to 50.
What, the 1940s and 1950s. So in order to understand gangs in LA, the historian figured it was appropriate to start in the 1940s. Right? So people propose solutions and you want to analyze things. Just know that an academic or historian, history is best served to reward our research, is going to go back to create a historical context and give us some genuine understanding. Who saw the movie Harlem Nights? No, really? Remember the cops is extorting, right? So that's what we're about to talk about. And it looks just like Harlem Nights right there, right? He did a pretty good job with it.
On the clubs, they had to pay off the LAPD. The LAPD took millions out of the black community and the black music scene.
Louis Armstrong, right?
In the 1940s, before Parker took over.
The Jaws music, that's funny.
Under Chief Carter's reign, he declared war on race mixing on Central Avenue and set about deliberately to destroy the most vital music scene in the country. Those were the days when the LAPD, of course, recruited police in the South. They went down and looked for Southern whites that had been in the Army and Marine Corps and brought them out here. Parker had in mind exactly what kind of police force he wanted. Parker was, of course, not corrupt. He was just, a steadfast, racist. So what are the first black gangs?
So you got a guy going down south, right? As if race relations aren't bad enough. He got to go to the deep south to get some people with military training. And what did they say he declared war on? Say he declared war on what? No, drug activity.
Right, reefer.
Did he say no? He didn't say
No,
that.
he said race mixing.
He did? No, really? He didn't say it was hip hop. He didn't say it was the music. They said the rhythm blues, started on that block. It wasn't about the music. What was it about? Race mixing. If you don't understand white supremacy as a global system, they say, yes, we're talking about that today, right? The militarizing of the police force, and he was going to get people specifically with military training that were particularly racist. And somebody would say, yeah, because you got to stop crime, right? No, he didn't say he was starting a war on crime. He was starting a war on race mixing.
Excuse me, back in those days, it was a crime.
Miscegenation.
Right, it was a crime that it was still considered a crime.
So why do you need to go and get a whole army, right? Sorry in the books, right? You figure they were locked up anyway. Not good enough.
That's right.
So if you don't understand racism, you can't analyze the music. See, they said rhythm and blues started there.
That's right.
Rhythm and blues has an intersection with a war on miscegenation. So racial terror and the birth of R&B are right there and setting the foundation for the birth of these gangs. So it's hard to really understand one without understanding the other.
Well, if you start reading through the files of the old California Eagle, which was a magnificent community paper, the major African-American paper in LA, from 1946 to 1950, there was a really powerful civil rights movement in Los Angeles, and people were fighting to break out of the Central Avenue ghetto to move south of Slauson, to move to the west, beginning to more integrate the high schools.
Compton was white, you know, a great part of the South Central was white, Inglewood was white, Gardena was white.
First black kid to move into that area, moved on 62nd and Hooper in 1946. There were Italians, there were Germans, there were Russians, Armenians, Lithuanians, what they call Croatians and Serbs. When you can't live where you want to live, when you can't go where you want to go without someone saying something to you, there's a problem. And every day I was called names. With no brothers and sisters, so I began with a bad attitude. And I began fighting the little white kids every day.
You can track literally week by week attacks on black kids in the high schools and in junior high schools. And what you see emerging are black youth fighting back against attacks by white gangs and beginning to create, you know, what they didn't call gangs at the time. They were just groups of kids united to fight off, you know, people who stoned them when they came to school or ambushed them after school.
Whites were predominant in the area, so we banded together at Slauson Park.
They were well-organized white gangs, some of which then continued and lived on for 20 more years, like the infamous Spook Hunters.
We used to get attacked by white boys named Spooks who were all over Inglewood, Southgate, Linwood, Hollywood, Maywood, and all the other woods.
Yeah, they had a gang called Spook Hunters.
Yeah.
Why we shut them down? They had a black man hanging on the back of their jacket with a rope.
Spook.
Who knew all about that? That's the origin of those gangs, right? You talking about gangs? No, nobody knows. That's a problem. That's a problem. What years did he say this? In the 40s and the 50s.
Right.
But if we start 2/3 into the story, like we do with that Greek civilization slavery thing, if we start that gang analysis, and we start at Boys in the Hood, I don't blame people. They say, oh, what's wrong with them? I don't know, look crazy, right? Can't move out the neighborhood. I know people who never leave their block. It's such a tragedy. They never leave their neighborhood. There's a history to that pathology. There's a reason why people don't leave their block. Like, incorporate that in the analysis. Like, because, 20 years ago, they would get lynched. Never put that into the story. It's just like, oh, they just lack imagination. They don't see the world the way it should be seen, but I guess they see it in a more realistic way. So who remembers the show called Happy Days? Remember that show?
Yeah.
Right? The Fonz, it was cool. There was a movie called The Outsiders. Right?
Yeah.
Who saw that movie?
I read the book.
Really? Okay. Look at the trailer real quick. That's a great movie, right? Gangs of New York?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's funny because sometimes you can say the truth, but like we talked about with the Lauryn Hill quote, right? Truth comes and you don't hear it. You program to fear it. Like, I show you a gang that's obviously not from the 1970s, 1980s.
Right, 1980.
I show you the James Dean and the James Caddies that we already referenced. I show you these people shooting out, leather jackets, pink ladies, Thunderbird. I show you this and you're like, no connection to the gangs today. Whenever I go on CNN with Anderson Cooper, I'm never going to talk about this.
Right.
I'm just going to talk about Chicago and Compton.
They gave us such glorification. Like you said, now you do that analysis. Like you said, now it's Compton, now it's this. When you had West Side Story out, then you had James Cagney movies out.
And don't forget my favorite movie of all time, Grease.
Okay, Grease.
Yeah, if you want to talk about romanticizing the gang, they were dancing, singing, washing cars,
That's
right? Switchblade in the song was all good, right? This is a hip-hop documentary.
Gang activity that was.
Who's that? I mean, who is he though? What did he do?
Planet Rock.
It was great.
Planet Rock, and the founder of what? Zulu Nation. He said there's a lot of gang activity. First thing out of his mouth in the clip, right?
Happened in the Bronx back in the late 60s, early 70s. They had a lot of drugs in the communities. A lot of violence and rivalries. Things was going on. The Bronx was or one of the destructive areas of the town.
While life in the city had become tougher, mainstream black music in the 70s had softened into the ultimate form of crossover pop. Disco.
Now this is amazing.
That was my song.
This is amazing, right? This is before any samples or Rapid Delight and all that, right? You saw the juxtaposition of the landscape with the lyrics.
Good time.
These are the good times. And you gotta get a show to boot, right? Good times.
Yeah,
Temporary layoffs.
right.
Good times.
That's right.
Easy credit rip-offs.
Good times.
Good times.
Hustle and bustle.
Yeah, scratching and surviving.
That's right.
Good times. Wait a minute. Hanging in the chow line.
That's right. Good times.
Good times. Hanging in the chow line, right? Now you know, right? Never before. These are good times.
That's right.
Scratching and surviving.
That's right.
Easy credit rip-off.
That's right.
Standing in line for some slop with a piece of bread. Like the Great Depression. These are good times. Ain't we lucky we got them?
Yeah, you know what?
That's psychological warfare.
Yes, it is.
But this is a common theme, right? Public Enemy said what? Don't worry, be happy was the #1 jam. Damn, if I say it, you could smack me right here. Fight the power. Don't worry, be happy. No. Louis Armstrong, right? Whole bunch of civil unrest, people rioting. He come out there, what a wonderful world. Right? And the dudes that wrote it, they said that. You know, the unrest was part of why they pushed him to do it, and they wrote it. He did not write it, right? 2 white gentlemen wrote it down and said, this would be good right now. He looking at skies and planes. He not looking at nothing, you know, going on, people getting shot. I should go on assassinations. He come out with a permanent smile, talking about what a wonderful world. Right? No disrespect to Pharrell.
I was about to say,
Yeah, we ain't gotta go there, right? But yeah, I'm saying. I'm not saying that he made this, but there's always this push, right? There's always a lane for it, right? Like no obstruction. You make one of them joints, you know, we still take it to the top. So good times. These are the good times.
That's still my song there. Sorry.
Oh no, the song was amazing. It did the job.
The generation growing up in the Bronx in the 70s found that music like disco was wildly out of step with the reality of their lives.
It was something that seemed very far away from what ghetto kid on the street could realistically hope to attain or to be a part of. That whole idea of the flashy, the gaudy, the
scene right there.
costumes, all that stuff was something that hip-hop reacted against.
Pop a Molly and sweat. He was going. He was going.
You know what I'm saying? So we created our own. You know what I'm saying? We created our own parties.
Hip-hop's genesis can be traced to this inconspicuous housing project on the edge of the South Bronx. It was here that hip-hop's founding father, DJ Kool Herc, built his first sound system in 1971.
1520 Central Avenue, the historic birthright of the culture they call hip-hop music. My room in the back, and this was the landing.
You got that.
I'm like, okay, I can get with that, because I just wanted to be around that guy.
When Bambaataa became a DJ, he unleashed a new energy into hip-hop.
So far, we're in 1970s. The only DJ that they credited with contributing to hip-hop is Kool Herc so far.
That's right.
So we got Kool Herc so far in this documentary, right?
African.
Everybody knows who Kool Herc is?
Yeah.
Because, you know, Godfather of hip-hop, basically. He's the first one to scratch. He created the emphasis on the break beat, right? Take the break out of the song, and he kept looping it around and around. Then he developed a way to go from one record to the other and only play the break beats, which is called the merry-go-round, right? So we got Kool Herc, the pioneer. He's the only one doing it. His park jams, thousands of people, you know, born out of his poverty, nothing left, you know, mother invention necessity. Then we got this guy, Africa Bambaataa.
That's right.
So I think it's safe to argue that this is at the foundation, is at the beginning. So we only deal with one person so far, creatively. We didn't even deal with any MCs, because it's not even about the MC right now. It's just the DJ is the MC. He's the one getting on, saying, you know, 1, 2, you know, here we go, right? So we got Kool Herc, and now we're about to have Africa Bambaataa. Now let's hear Africa Bambaataa's story from Africa Bambaataa's mouth, so we can put to rest the nonsense about early hip hop.
At that time, you know, we was part of the gang movement, the Black Spades, the Savage Skulls, the 70 Mortals, the Reapers, all those groups who was, you know, controlling the Bronx. And then from my travels and seeing one of my best friends get killed by the police on Pelham Parkway in the Bronx, you know, and seeing how a lot of the brothers and sisters was getting hurt up, that's when I said I had to, you know, try to lead, you know, our organization into another direction.
Why did he do it? Because they gonna tell me it's all about the party. He ain't said nothing about the party. He ain't said nothing about the party. He did not one part time say, yo, I saw we can come up and we can pack the jam. I saw that we can, you know, have people dancing. We can have good times. That wasn't even part of the equation. He just named like 3 or 4 reasons within 3 sentences of what motivated him. Police brutality had more to do with why he started doing what he was doing, because his friend was murdered on Pelham Parkway. Police brutality had more to do with the inception or cultivation of hip-hop from his perspective than any desire for commercialism, consumerism, commodification, or to throw a darn party. He didn't even say nothing about a party. So somebody stands up, in the beginning, it was all about the party. Well, not to the people who were doing it in the beginning. Like, why is that still a common folklore? Why is that allowed to exist? Do that many people not research and listen to the people who did it to say, oh, well, wow, I'm going to take from African Man Bada and Kool Herc. But I would rather just do primary sources. I know it's a lost art to go to the original source and find out what something is. So we get like, you know, secondary, quaternary sources with sound bites and tweets and, you know, all that kind of good stuff nowadays and magazine quotes out of context. But I like to hear what people had to say. He said my friend was murdered. I was inspired by what Kool Herc was doing. So I think there's a competitive thing going on. Right? You talk about the poverty, people getting robbed, people getting killed. An answer to that, what did he do? Did he start a group? What was it called? Was it called the Zulu Group? What was the name? The Zulu what? Zulu Nation. So my definition said nation building political. Okay. I would say that because he said that. Let's see what they did. Let's see if it sounds familiar to another group we studied last time.
Formed the Zulu Nation, a dedicated following of local hip-hop enthusiasts who organised parties and then put the money they made into community self-help projects.
You gotta understand, you really have to understand that the Zulu Nation had originally been the Black Spades. They were the biggest, most feared gang in the Bronx. And they wear these denim jackets with the cut-off sleeves and fur around the collars and Black Spades written across the back. This was before gangs had a lot of guns, so it was all about getting beat down with these and with sticks and with knives. I mean, it was brutal. And Bambaataa had the inspiration to stop this gang-banging nonsense, stop killing each other, and let's get creative. So he turned one of the most violent street gangs into one of the most influential cultural organizations. His status was literally legendary.
Well, it's a legend now because nobody's talking about that part of the game. It's really some stuff of legends, as they say. So one of the first things hip-hop did was, in response to crime and police brutality, a nation-building, community service-oriented effort to counter gang violence. That's what hip-hop was in the early years. So all that crap all about the party needs to die. That's not what it was. And he said, you need to understand that this group, the Zulu Nation, used to be the Black Spades, the very same people that was doing, you know. So if I was to argue that the primary difference, this is deep, right? The primary difference between Los Angeles, California, and New York City regarding gang violence is hip-hop. The reason why we got Menace to Society and Boys in the Hood while we were having Crush Groove and Breaking in Beat Street, the main reason why gangs were everywhere in LA to the point they came all the way to New York, but New York didn't really get it popping even though it was just as popping at one point, was for one reason and one reason only. I would argue against anybody, any other reason, hip-hop. Because the leader of the largest gang converted his gang into a community service, anti-violence organization called the Zulu Nation. Huh? No, because it's not just the rap. Because rap wasn't even there in the beginning. People weren't even rapping yet. So we can't say rap. We're skipping Cool Herc, Grandmaster Caz. We're skipping Zulu Nation. They weren't rappers. Nobody's rapping. It's b-boying. The DJ is doing the break and the merry-go-round, and the b-boys are dancing. And they're saying, b-boys, make some noise. You know, merry-go-round about to come. B-boys, b-girls, get ready. Like, are you ready? These rival crews are settling disputes through dancing that used to use violence. We didn't against the world, didn't we?
Huh?
It was a sign, We Against the World, right? On the syllabus, all right? Old school, you heard that song? Ain't nothing like the old school? Right, so he's talking about Melly Mel and Grandmaster Caz. So if you do your homework, if you study, if you research the game, Tupac doesn't seem like an anomaly anymore. Tupac seems like one of the few people that actually did his research. From the Panther perspective we talked about last week, and assassinations and infiltration and culture, he knows what's going on with that. He seems to know what's going on with the potential for hip-hop music, which is wasted on a lot of artists, especially today. They don't seem to know the potential. They'll say, well, I don't say nothing, I don't get political. Well, you might not be able to really consider yourself hip-hop to a lot of, purists. Because people say, I'm a hip-hop purist, I'm a backpacker. I talk about lyrics for 6 hours, so I'm a real hip-hop head.
I was going to say, the song Old School, that's like a perfect example of the whole East Coast, West Coast feud is kind of bullshit.
Yeah, especially from a guy born in Harlem, right? Like, you can easily name certain things that can deconstruct an argument, like, pretty readily. Like, if somebody says East Coast, West Coast, East Coast, West Coast, and somebody said, well, isn't Tupac, from New York? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you would think that if I wanted to stop this, that would be a fact, that would be a talking point. Every time somebody said that, I'd be like, dude, they're both from the same coast.
Be like, look, player, we asking you, not telling. People have in those cities, we can regulate. You know what I mean? If we telling the mayor, nigga, if you don't do this, then we ain't gonna do this. Yeah. We telling them we can clean up the street. I'm gonna have all these tough ass, supposed to be gangster rappers, and we're gonna all get in the van, we're gonna travel. LA gotta be the last place because it's gonna be hardest. But we can do New Jersey, all that. We're gonna drive to all these drug areas, right? Yeah. Imagine me, Redman, Fresh, Ice Cube, them type of niggas getting out, going up to the main drug dealer on that block. Who runs shit? We get out of the van, be like, what's up, nigga? How y'all doing? What's up? Yo, who the nigga that runs shit? They gonna take us to that nigga. We invite those niggas to dinner, invite them niggas to some Sean Perignon and lobster, and be like, look, player, we asking you, not telling you, we asking you as a player to a player, can you please give us a pass to have these streets clean from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m., 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. Let that be for the kids. Let them niggas be safe during those times. No gunshots, no drug dealers. From 11 p.m. to 6 a.m., y'all can have the streets back. But let's get the streets from these times. Good, but we can get these politicians. I talked to Al Sharpton. He said he can get the police to chill out on those nighttime patrols if niggas can get the streets clean from 6 to 11.
And you know what else too? When I talk to you face to face, I'm dropping some shit on you, right? Some other stuff too, right? But yeah, that's that, man. I'm with all that, right? And that's my type of work.
Yeah, we need power, man.
I'm telling you, hey, dig it, man.
Hey, I'm telling you, we got power, man. Yeah, we need power. Power is numbers. It's like we rappers, man. Why we don't have? We got the juice. We just ain't doing nothing with it.
Right? He ain't say, yo, we're gonna ride on this, we're gonna shoot, we're gonna kill. Like, I can't wait to get my gun back. He gonna enjoy Zimmerman with it. Like, he talk about doing stuff for the kids. Let's keep the streets clean for the kids. Right? But like we always say, we like to go to the beginning to see what somebody really thinks and feels, right? We got this.
It should be a class on
17.
apartheid. It should be a class on racism in America. It should be a class on why people are hungry, but they're not. A class is on gym.
Okay. So this is the curriculum that he's suggesting, right? He said why people are hungry. He said apartheid. He said police brutality. This is what he feels should be worthy of study in the school system, right? So we talk about some of them topics, for that reason, primarily. Because people can't, teach their own class from the grave. But I would say if Tupac was here to advise the class curriculum, right? If he was to help me write the syllabus, what subjects? And I said, oh, this isn't too deep. I don't have to, do a seance, right? I don't have to try to connect with him. I can just play a video. And he laid it out. Like, this is what people should be talking about in school, So we're going to talk about world hunger. We're going to talk about police brutality. We're going to talk about apartheid. We're going to talk about, inequities and, distribution of wealth. We're talking about the importance of knowing our history. Because these are things that he talked about all the time. So people say, why get a class on Tupac? Well, it's not just a class on Tupac, right? Let's not, limit ourselves. But it's also a class on what Tupac felt was important, how Tupac thought, what influenced Tupac, things like that, right? It's show the title. Help me. Now, who remembers This Your Underground? Same song. Right? Tupac looked like he jumped right out this group in the video. He got the and the African hat, right? You carry now I clown around when I hang around with the underground girls. The clown say I'm down when I come around, right? Just peep the imagery. Right? What's Johannesburg?
South Africa.
Now, why is he singing about that right there? Apartheid. Tupac said we should study, so I know we all know about apartheid. I'm about to ask you in a minute. Because when people talk about these lineages, like, they'll look at Gil Scott Heron, they'll look at somebody like a Common, and then they'll look at somebody like J. Cole, and they'll see, like, vestiges of the political aspects and, even in, some of the fashion choices, the hair and all that. They get that feeling again, they get that same, like Nina Simone and Lauryn Hill, they get that feeling.
And it don't take no X-ray to see right through my smile. Oh no, I'll be on the go, but it ain't no drink out there that can numb my soul. Oh no, all we want to do is take the chains off. All we want to do is break the chains off it. All we want to do is be free. All we want to do is be free. All we want to do is take the chains off. All we want to do is break the chains off it. All we want to do is be free. All we want to do is go. Can you tell me why? Every time I step outside, I see my people die. Oh, I'm letting you know that it ain't no gun they make that can kill my soul. Oh no. All we want to do is take the chains off. All we want to do is break the chains off. Yeah. All we want to do is be free. All we want to do is be free. All we want to do is take the chains off. All we want to do is break the chains off. Yeah. All we want to do is be free. All we want to do is be free.
If I redid the definition today, I would have to implement some element of liberation with regards to a pursuit of freedom. It seems to be a consistent pursuit of freedom in early hip-hop and hip-hop in general. Free to go where you want to go, like in the LA situation with the documentary. Free to exist, like Nas talked about. Just free to take the chains off.
Shame, cause this ain't me. Though I'm eternally grateful to Jay-Z. We're so elated, we celebrated like Obama waited until his last day in office to tell the nation brothers is getting their reparations, hey. A man can dream, can he? No disrespect in terms of change, I haven't seen any. Maybe he had good intentions, but was stifled by the system and was sad to learn he actually couldn't bring any. That's what I get for thinking. This world is fair, they let a brother steer the ship and never told him that the ship was sinking. But I got other to think about, like my bank account. Forget that watch, you paid too much for it. You ought to be ashamed. When brothers back home be dreaded when the seasons change. Cause they ain't got no heat, and they ain't got no AC. While my distribution fire, my homie, he just had a baby. You wonder why it's been so many B&Es lately. While brothers from the hood shooting like this is TNT lately. This is all the ballers leaving college early. I turn on the TV and don't see no brothers with degrees lately. Are we all alone?
Okay. This is an issue. Somebody needs to do a compilation of every time hip-hop answers the most popular question asked of it. Because I hear from every rapper, I can just go lyric for lyric and say when they answer these popular questions. And he just said, you wonder why brothers are shooting like it's TNT late? Every rapper has answered these questions that people feign ignorance of. Why do they do? Every rapper has told you. Every single rapper you name, we can look. Matter of fact, you name the top 20, I can tell you what song, what lyric. They told you, this is why, this is why, this is why. Somebody like Jay-Z might have 20 times when he tells you different reasons why. Right? I ain't got my 40 acres and a mule. Now I got my Glock 40, now I'm cool. Like, it's no context. It's related to slavery, a broken promise. The government, like, he's telling you, this is why. Everybody's saying, this is why. This is why, this is why, this is why. And people will consistently come and be like, I just don't get it. Well, you slick and stupid, man. You slick and, I gotta make a new category of people to do that one. We hear this, hip-hop not political, we just saw J. Cole. This is the problem now. We got Kendrick Lamar, we got J. Cole. and we got a whole critical industry, you know, an industry of hip-hop haters, that act like these people don't exist. They talk about, you know, hip-hop as if Young Thug sold more records than Kendrick. If you want to give a face of hip-hop, I would argue Kendrick Lamar. And even Kanye said, if not, he said it's Drake's season. You still got a lot of consciousness and very little violence with Drake, right? Hip-hop was all about fun and party at the beginning, right? Lie, right? We understand that. We heard after about it, we'll hear people say that that's not the case. Especially this part, right? That disqualifies. That's a hard argument. If you want to get an argument, you don't talk in absolutes. Then all I have to do is give you one example to the contrary, and I destroy the credibility of your entire argument, right? Hip-hop wasn't about violence. Who said? Hip-hop wasn't about politics. Who said? What song are you talking about? Hip-hop culture is not introspective regarding solutions to violence. Matter of fact, they take it a step further and use the hip-hop as a reason for the violence. You got these rappers, pinheads, Bill O'Reilly called, you have these rappers glorifying the violence, right? That's the problem, right? We're going to deal with that one in a minute. Police brutality throughout the nation for the past couple centuries. What did I say? Oh yeah, what about Chicago, right? That's all you always get down. What about Chicago? What about Chicago? What about Chicago? People can kill every 28 hours, but Chicago did, right? Little Bibby, you know what I mean? Chief Keef fault. Right? Now let's go here. Let's go here, because people try to act up and down. You know, why are they mad about Mike Brown? They're not mad when kids are killed every day. Arguably the biggest posse cut in the history of hip-hop ever, right? What song is this? Nobody knows what song this is? Arguably the biggest posse cut in hip-hop history. What song had the most rappers on it? Close. That's this one. But what's prompted that song to be created? What song? Y'all playing with me.
NWA?
Oh, yeah.
We all agree tonight, all of the speakers have agreed that America has a very serious problem. Not only does America have a very serious problem, our people have a very serious problem. America's problem is self-destruction.
Oh, no, I learned something, y'all. Oh, I'm nice. Okay. So the name of the song is It's the Police Fault. Right? That's not the name of the song? The name of the song is The White Man Did It. That's not the name of the song? What's the name of the song?
Self-destruction.
But I thought we never looked at ourselves. I thought we only blamed other people. I thought we only wanted to protest when it was a white police officer doing it. I thought we didn't get together and protest when it was us doing it. Lies, man. It's a lie. It's a flat lie. It's not the case. Not the case. We are killing ourselves. It's all about Malcolm. So we have a very serious problem. Not only does America have a very serious problem, our people have a very serious problem. What part did you miss of that? There's like 30 people on this darn song, man.
That's right.
This is the We Are the World of hip-hop. This is the biggest collective statement hip-hop has ever made. We are killing ourselves. But some fool with no context is going to say, you guys didn't protest that. No, you weren't listening when we protested that. We were protesting that. We had a very big problem with that.
Well, today's topic, self-destruction. It really ain't the rap audience is bugging. It's one of two suckers, ignorant brothers, trying to rob and steal from one another. You get caught in the mid. So to crush that stereotype is what we did. We got ourselves together so that you can unite and fight for what's right. Not negative cause. The way we live is positive. We don't kill our relatives.
Pop, 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 when it's shot, who's to blame? Headline, front page, and raps the name. MC tonight, here to state the bottom line. The black on black.
What group is he from?
I forget.
What group is he from? Oh, see, that's it. Don't even worry about it. I got you. Don't even worry about it. You know who that is, right?
Who might be?
Okay. It's the line right here. Damn. Man, come on, man. Stop playing with me. No, what Tupac said this way, he said, all I gotta do is go deep in the drums. All I gotta do is go there, and I can show you that the case was different than what they proposed it to be. He said, I never remember the Ku Klux Klan. I shouldn't have to remember Black Man. He didn't say Crooked Police. Them songs came like, you know, a couple years later. Like, this is what everybody got together for. Another big deal about this song, it was across every genre. You saw Tone Loc and Young MC, the pop rappers, you know, walking through the little jail scene. You got Dougie Fresh, Greatest Entertainer. You got, you know, Just Ice, you know, and Heavy D, the dancing guy. You know, like every type of rapper. Oh, see, there I go again. You got every type of rapper. That's what rap intended to teach you. But society wants to invade. Do not walk the path they laid. That's the only path that's out there now, right? So y'all all in the same gang, right? So on the West Coast, they did the same thing. All the West Coast rappers got together, right? Like we get it. Stetsasonic. So I asked you what group they were from. Right? And I'm learning that there's these buried groups, right? There's Brand Nubians with the exception of Pump Jump Up, there's Poor Righteous Teachers, there's X-Clan. There's a bunch of groups that were like, had #1 songs, like big groups. And you say, who are these people? You're like, I don't know. But it's the same thing with music, you know? Certain people just get, you know, pushed out of the narrative, right? So I just got here, right? What's the word?
If I gotta die to be free, then I guess it gotta be, cause I've never been a sucker, see? I can't stand for a man trying to hold me down. Then again, I've never been a clown. Countdown, 88 and everything ain't well. Prepare for war and war is hell. And if you say about popping a plea, don't even waste your breath. Just the time is freedom or death.
Okay, that's why you don't know. What is apartheid? Let's get into it. We're gonna go back to Stetsasonic in a minute. This is South Africa. This is South Africa. This is South Africa. Like arguing against having passes, right? Like fugitive slave papers. Where your papers at, right? South Africa and you know Mandela, right? So what's apartheid? You said what you say it was Jim Crow.
It's worse than that. I can say something.
Let's look at one of these signs here. Natives, Indians, and colors. If you enter these premises at night, you will be listed as missing. Armed guards shoot on sight. Savage dogs devour the corpse. You have been warned. So you walk with your kid, you see a sign like that, right? Whites, not whites, right? Just another day in the neighborhood, right? Apartheid was a system of legal racial separation which dominated the Republic of South Africa. Chronology, right? That's all I can say. So when you see 1979, right? These are the good times. They were in apartheid, right? We're going through it, right? So till 1993. Pac is out. He's blowing Pac. Ain't apartheid. They talking about dogs gonna devour your corpse, and you know, the sharpshooters gonna shoot. You know, the armed guards gonna shoot on sight. They're gonna devour your corpse. You've been warned, right? And they said they yelling post-racial. Jesse Jackson done ran. He did I. No global context, right? You're not a global citizen. You don't understand the world, so they can sell you something, you know. Mission accomplished. They greet us as liberators. Let me stop playing. There's a documentary about hip-hop in the UK, right? Idris Elba talks about, he's hosting it, right? Where he gets to use accent all crazy. He talks about, rappers like Davey D, Cookie Crew, Money Love talks, in the documentary. Just talking about how, the scene developed and, like what George Michael and Wham were doing as opposed to what people were doing in the garden when they were, getting together having these B-boy type competitions. Just basically London, UK, just the hip-hop scene, what it meant to the area, how it developed, how to communicate, right? But one of the main things that Idris Elba talks about as far as New York hip-hop, he said, in 1951, when they built that expressway, and they displaced all these people in New York, this is how you got the formation. We're talking about urban renewal. We're talking about everybody got to move because we're building these roads. And like 80% of the people had to move during these highway projects were, poor, black, and Latino people. So people, when you want to know how people got where they are and why they are the way they are, same thing happened in Chicago. You got people from different neighborhoods who got displaced and thrown together. And so why are they fighting? Well, you took everything from them, like Katrina, when you just uprooted people and threw them up into Houston and threw them into Baltimore. It's like, oh, the violence peaked. Yeah, you didn't say nothing about counseling once again, right? Just traumatic, they're refugees, you're trying to shoot them on the bridge, right? So this displacement is a common theme. It's a common theme. Once it's like building sandcastles on a row full of tanks. Once you start doing good, once you get some semblance, right? 2008 housing crisis, lose more wealth than you did since, you left slavery, right? Every time you get a foothold in something, we're going to knock that thing down. During this, hip-hop now, in the 1960s, 70s, and early 80s, the government introduced a policy of resettlement. Ooh, we can go all day with that. To force people to move to their designated group areas. It's like a sci-fi movie. Most well-known was in the 1950s in Johannesburg, where 60,000 people. Damn, that's a lot of people, man. Tell me, what's the word, right? Government also passed legislation that became known as petty apartheid, which banned mixed marriages. We back. We back. We're going to be connecting these pieces nice in a week or two. Right? Isn't that what he declared war on? Race mixing on Central Avenue, right? They're doing the same. You go 20,000 miles over the ocean. He's doing the same darn thing. So if you don't understand this as a global system, the definition is. If you don't understand it, you won't get it. You won't get it. Self-hatred is a logical response. I hear we messed up. Yeah, why? Ask the why, though. You can do the analysis, but then, do the research to, explain things. You want to explain a current situation, not just analyze it on the face, right? So they say Africa's in disarray. Africa got corrupt government. I think this has more to do with Africa's problems. Because this lasted a lot longer than, like, to talk about the last 1950, because now they talk about 1993. How many years ago was that? Who wants to do the math? Do the math major real quick. 20? 22? 22 years ago, you had us in apartheid, and you're going to come and feign some genuine analysis about the troubles in Africa without saying the word apartheid. And it's been going on since the 1940s. And we know what happened before that, because we here, right? But they say you shouldn't be a conspiracy theorist, but your presence is the result of the greatest conspiracy in the history of the world, right? People conspired, right? Berlin Conference, when they divided Africa, people got together and met and in private and made decisions and plans. That's a conspiracy, right? To have a triangle trade, like I'm going to trade and I'm going to work this, and I'm going to grab these boats, I'm going to build these castles, and I'm going to bring this labor, right? That's a conspiracy. We're conspired to do that. So when somebody says conspiracy theory to me, I got to hit them with a history lesson. Like, you're looking at the result of a conspiracy. Because I'm not a Dutchman. My name's not Smith for, Let me stop. Blacks were excluded from living or working in white areas unless they had a pass. We talked about that from the picture, right? And Obama got to show the birth certificate. Back to our group now. Here's a group called there's a song called Free South Africa. This is the group again. That's the time. So you don't know. There's a song called Talking All That Jazz. It was on Video Music Box for a while, Robert Gales, but partnership with South Africa during apartheid, he says the moral disgrace in business, no one knows what's going on over here. Condemning the American companies doing business in South Africa. Now this is ignorant, materialistic, misogynist hip-hop. She lives in a country called Angola. Her president's name is Joseph
how wrong we are. Right rebels back by Rhetoric. I'm on hearing it. I was pretty upset. You know what? I went and told the spent and the spent said, yo, it's going.
So he's talking about, he's naming names. Like, he's talking about leaders of countries, someone who's backing them. That's a big deal. You know, tracing the money. Now this is why a lot of hip hoppers have this problem, right? You saw that Jesse Jackson was in the beginning, right? We got Malcolm X in the beginning of self-destruction, right? So even if Jesse didn't want the mantle, hip hop was like, you the one, Jesse. You run, Jesse, run, right? Right? Melly Mel made a song during the campaign, run, Jesse, run, right? Tupac Shakur talks about doing the job he got, first job at the Apollo, right? During Jesse Jackson, you know, campaign. So a lot of people looking at Jesse like, dude, we wrote out for you. And you brought out Al Sharpton talking about shutting us down with Lawrence C. Tucker, right? See Lawrence Tucker, like, what's going on? We had your back. Hip-hop was riding with Jesse. Hip-hop was like, run, Jesse, run. Hip-hop had Jesse Jackson in samples. Hip-hop was with Jesse. And a lot of hip-hoppers feel that Jesse didn't really return the favor when it really got down to it. You should have stood up for us. You knew what it was really about. Yeah.
I'll let you.
So, and talking all that jazz, that sign says, rap brings back old R&B. And if we did not, people could have forgotten. He said, tell the truth, James Brown was old till Arabian Rakim came with I Got Soul. Like, they were laying it out, like, no disrespect, but wasn't nobody checking for y'all till we started sampling y'all. So all these lawsuits from Rosa Parks suing Outkast, you know, and Bismarcky having to make an album all samples clear because he couldn't even make his album. Like, people were like, they came at us pretty crazy. Like, we was making y'all hot again and getting y'all paid again. But there's that separation. Same label as Rapper's Delight, right?
That's right.
It's the next group. So this is the period that they're talking about. This is early hip hop. This is all about the party. It's all about the party, right? Now, in their defense, they did make a song that was about the party, right?
Fun, baby.
Oh, white line.
Yeah, cocaine anthem, right?
Tickets to ride, white line highway. Tell all your friends, baby, go my way, make it toll. Sell your soul, pound for pound, cost more than gold. The longer you stay, the more you pay. My white line go a long way, either up your nose or through your veins. With nothing to gain, that really your brain.
Wait, what's that? Wait, what's that?
That's Loud Blow.
So they had, was that a woman? Because they try to make me think that when I saw this with the credit card, this was the first time anybody ever did that kind of thing to a woman. So they had the cocaine going up the woman, but they don't, you know, they act like Nelly was invented misogyny, right? Y'all remember Tip Drill came out? Nelly was like the first one. That was like 1979, 1981. They was pouring coke on the girl. I'd rather get a credit card. I'm not, you know. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. If I had to do